All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Touchdown Times. This is going to be our Week 16 preview, Week 15 recap. This is your boy Savvy Sav. Not feeling super high today, but when your team struggles, it's whatever, bro. That's when you get to betting. That's when you get to fantasy. Other ways to cheer you up. And I'm also here with my co-host Andrew, aka Alo. How you doing, buddy?
Hey yo, what is up? We got another exciting week of football for you guys and a special guest that we're going to introduce later. I'm excited for another round of football. We're getting closer and closer to playoffs, and some teams are clinching playoffs. So, another exciting week of football, and glad to be with you, man.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. Always exciting to be here. So yeah, we're just gonna do a little recap of week 15. We'll have our week 16 preview as well. Getting into the heart of fantasy football playoffs. We're moving on to the second round. Hopefully you guys have also gotten there. We'll move into a little bit of a betting segment, kind of an off week. I know a lot of people didn't do too well. I did not. We'll get to that later though. We'll have our trivia question, as well as just kind of wrapping it up. But first of all, we do have a guest on today. Andrew, I'll let you introduce our guest.
Yes, sir. This is the man himself, Rob Shakka Bob, Robert Hernandez. How you doing today, Rob?
Yo, what's good, man? Yo, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. My football week wasn't that great when it comes to fantasy and betting, but I'll touch on that later. But all in all, doing good, man. Excited for this week as well. I spoiler alert, I did clinch playoffs for my fantasy team, so I got to get ready for that. So hopefully y'all can teach me a thing or two or help me out offline.
Yes, sir.
Hell
Yes,
yeah.
sir. Definitely, man. Awesome. We do have a couple questions, as always, with our guests. We do like to get some insight into you guys and ask some questions. So, first and foremost, Rob, why do you love football? What got you excited? How'd you get into it? Tell us a little bit about why you love football.
All right, here we go. Here we go. This is a great question, and this is going to be shocking to you, but I'll be honest, I probably just got into football as much as I am now, probably over like the last 4 years. And the reason for that was because I've always kind of just like liked sports in general, like basketball, football, baseball, whatever, like the American sports. And then out of nowhere, I just started to watch football more and more, especially when we were in college, dude, and Super Bowl was a thing,
Hmm.
or Super Bowl was popping off when we were in college. People would have college parties where Super Bowl is taking place. And I just remember watching like the Super Bowls a couple of times in Chico. And I was just like, yo, this is freaking awesome. I don't know how I'm not watching this as much. And to be fair, LA at the time didn't have a team, although most people from LA liked the Raiders because they used to be there, and stuff like that. So I got into it. And then, yeah, ever since I started, getting into fantasy, which only like really cemented my love of football even more so. But yeah, I think historically I'd always watched football growing up, but never following it to the T, right, with like other teams and things like that. So now at this point, I feel like I'm all in.
Nice, nice. Yeah, the I remember going to some college football parties and Super Bowl parties, especially, and those were exciting, man. It was a different time. It was a fun time. Great, man. So another question to you. Who is your team? I know you'd mentioned it to us before we started this, but who's your team and why are they your team?
Great question. Great question. Okay, so my team is the Los Angeles Rams. I like the Rams. I wouldn't say I've always like been super about the Rams die hard, but I think what put me onto the Rams was when I was younger. I was playing like '03 Madden on GameCube, and I used to always just pick the Rams because they had Marshall Faulk, and my dad would tell me he's like the best running back in the league at the time. And so I ever since then I just would always pick them. I knew they're like St. Louis Rams, and I was like, yo, this is dope. And I was always playing Marshall Faulk. Dude, you guys don't even want to know how I used to play Madden back in the day. Every kick was an onside kick. I'm always going on fourth down. Like I used to play just the craziest like Madden. I did not care. But yeah, I used to love like handing it off to Marshall Faulk and just trying to go for a touchdown on like the first play.
Yeah, yeah, definitely,
Hell
man.
yeah.
Those Madden games back in the day. Some of those players were cheat codes, man. I remember. I think the '04 one was Michael Vick, and he was a straight cheat code in that for his speed and stuff. So Marshall Faulk, I could see being one of the legends of the Rams, and I could totally see that. So that's
Yeah.
awesome, man.
It's like
Um,
more nostalgia than anything, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Hey,
yeah. So I
Marshall
mean,
Falk, STSU alumni, baby. Let's go. Take that.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that either. That's dope.
Yeah. Yeah, we have like every like bar here always has its jersey up just to like represent for San Diego State. So
Really?
yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
I think I did see that sometimes we go out. Yeah, I mean, like this year they're not doing amazing, but that doesn't take any credit away from them. They won the Super Bowl a couple years back, but
Yeah.
what are your thoughts about this year's team and going into next season and things like that? Like, what are your thoughts on the Rams' future?
Yeah, man, that's a good point. So I think, since the Super Bowl, there's obviously been a lot of changes to like the defense and even to the offense as well. This season, I think, was really tough in the beginning because Cooper Kupp was hurt, so he missed, a good amount of time, a good amount of games. But we did have Puka Nacua really like step up, and
Mhm.
so I think he's been kind of like the shining star on the Rams right now, and he's definitely popping off. I was I was really nervous because I was thinking that because of how bad the season's been, like in the kind of in the middle of this season, where they were just losing a ton of games, I was confident that they're either gonna fire Sean McVay or they're gonna like, I don't know, do something with Matthew Stafford. Because it was like every game I was watching, my guys just throwing picks. The team's just like not looking great all around. And so yeah, I think I'm hoping that, with the recent couple of wins that they've had, this is like turning the ship around a little bit. I think they're in the running for playoffs. I don't think they've clinched a spot yet. And then I know this week, they have a shot at winning as well. They're like favorited to win this week. So hopefully they secure that dub and they can get that spot. But I'm not really crazy optimistic about them doing well in the playoffs, to be honest. But I'm hoping that, going into next year, they'll, make some adjustments that they need to make and then be better all around.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh yeah.
definitely. I think they have a good shot this week. But we'll get into that as we get into a little bit later, some of the games to look forward to. Last question before we kind of move on from the interview segment. Let me hear your predictions about the Super Bowl, man. Obviously, we're getting into playoffs. There's a couple teams that have clinched it, some playoff spots, but who do you think is going to be in the Super Bowl? Let's start there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This one I've been thinking about for a while. And if you would have asked me a couple of weeks ago, I probably would have a different answer for you. But I do think at this point, at least from like the NFC, right? I can definitely see the Niners going because of how good they're doing, right? I think they're the only team that's still 11-3 right now, or maybe the Ravens too, actually. Yeah, so them and the Ravens. So I could definitely see the Niners going on the NFC. When it comes to the AFC, that one I'm still not too sure about because I do think there's some solid teams there as well, right? Like the Ravens, Chiefs, Dolphins, even the Bills. So I think it's kind of a toss up. I'm not really confident on who would go from the AFC. But yeah, I mean, we'll see after this week, right? Niners play the Ravens. I think this is going to be a good matchup, and we'll see who wins that game. But yeah, all in all, I do think at the very least Niners on the NFC, and then AFC. If I had to take a guess, I don't feel very confident, but I'd probably say damn, I don't know, dude. Probably the Chiefs. Don't hold me to it though. Don't hold me to it. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, no, it definitely is, and I think this week will say a lot, right? You have, I think the Miami has a good matchup. Ravens and Niners are a good matchup. There's a lot of 10-4 teams that are playing this week, and that's going to really start ranking those conferences in order. So,
Yeah.
a lot of good matchups to look forward to. Speaking of matchups, we are going to roll into matchups of Week 15. We're going to do Week 15 recap. We're going to start with the Ravens. They are 11-3, and they went and traveled to Jacksonville to take on the Jags. The Jags fall short to 8-8, and the Ravens take it 23-7. I'll start first. This was a game that I really thought was going to be closer, to be honest. I thought it was going to be a good game, and I thought it was going to be a little bit closer than what the score shows here. I do think possession played a role in this, but overall, I think Lamar Jackson just had a great game with Isaiah Likely, right? Isaiah Likely going for 5 receptions, 70 yards, a touchdown, back to back good fantasy production from him. And then Lamar Jackson getting it done through the air as well as on the ground. He had 12 carries, 97 yards, 14 completions, 171 yards, and a touchdown. Trevor Lawrence did really great himself. And I believe Jamal Agnew did pretty well. But other than that, I just don't think the offense really got going for the Jags on the ground. as far as the rushing attack goes. I expected Travis Etienne to get a little bit more production out of him, but overall, it was a great game. Wish it was a little bit closer, but it does start to put that ranking order for the AFC side of things, and the Ravens are at a top 11-3. I'll turn it over to Savvy Sav. What are your thoughts on this Ravens and Jags matchup, man?
Yeah, man, I the Jacksonville Jaguars, they're definitely going in the wrong direction right now. It's gonna be tough for them. They might make playoffs actually. They should make playoffs, but I don't know how they're gonna do then. I think they're really missing Christian Kirk. He was a pretty
Mhm.
vital piece of that passing attack. Glad Zay Jones stepped up, but now I think he's in concussion protocol, so he might be out next week. Trevor Lawrence is also having some concussion issues, so it's just not looking super hot for them right now, and I feel bad because I do like seeing that team. And on the other side, the Ravens, man, they are reeling. They're doing pretty hot. Sucks to see Keaton Mitchell go out for the year, but they have a lot of guys to step up. And yeah, Lamar's looking hot. Isaiah Likely's looking hot, and it's gonna be fun seeing them go against the Niners. That's gonna be a great game, and I think that'll be like some good competition for them too. And I think it'll be a good judgment for both sides.
What do y'all think about the defense? Do you think like that had a big contributing factor to why Ravens won, or do you think that maybe just Lamar Jackson was too much?
I mean, with two turnovers, that was probably a big factor too. I mean, it's hard to get your team going, and I think the last few games Jacksonville's been having some issues with turnovers, so I
Mhm.
think that probably is a huge factor on their end. And that does give the Ravens more time of possession, lets their defense rest a little more when they can get their offense out there more often. So yeah, I would say that was probably a pretty big factor at least from what I
Yeah.
saw.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. And then I just think the fact that Lamar Jackson can capitalize on those turnovers really
Yeah.
starts to separate them, right, by a two possession game. When you can start to pull away by two possessions and you're in the third quarter, the end of the third quarter, beginning of the fourth quarter, that's when it's hard to come back. It starts to be hard to come back from. So, yeah. Rob, thoughts on the Ravens and the Jags that you want to pitch in here before we move on?
No, I mean, I was pretty confident that the Ravens were gonna win. I would agree with you though. I thought it was gonna be a little bit closer. Selfishly, I'll be honest, I was happy at the score because I bet on the Ravens to win. I'll talk about my parlay later. But yeah, I mean, I thought that the Ravens were doing pretty good even going into the game. And yeah, I knew it was going to be a good one. But yeah, to your point, I thought it was going to be like a little bit of a closer game, at least by like a one touchdown at least.
Yeah, I definitely think a little bit of injuries plagued them as well as the turnovers definitely contributed to the score here. But all right, moving on. We are going to move to the Vikings. They traveled to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. The Bengals came out on top, but this was a great, great game. It was an overtime game. Bengals came out 27 over the Vikings 24, and that puts the Vikings at a 7-7 record and the Bengals at an 8-6. I believe the Bengals are third in the AFC North, and Vikings are still fighting for their divisional spot there. This was an overtime game. Won it by a field goal. Really weird game for the Vikings, in my opinion, because they started Nick Mullins. We thought maybe Josh Dobbs was going to be the guy from them moving forward. Along with that, Alexander Madison was out for them, so Ty Chandler filled in. His production was really well for him stepping up to that running back position. 23 carries, 132 yards, and a touchdown. But on the other end, Jake Browning has really been warming up, and he's heating up to the point where he's throwing for over 300 yards. And this is the backup quarterback, someone that steps into this role to fill in Joe Burrow's shoes. And first couple games, little shaky, little rocky, but I think he's really starting to pick it up and and command that offense. So overall, my take out of this game right here was the Bengals are fighting they're in the hunt and they're fighting for that playoff spot, and Jamar Chase got injured in this game, so something to consider or something to be on the lookout for a lot of fantasy managers. I'll turn it over to Savvy Sav. Thoughts on the Vikings and the Bengals and this overtime win for Cincinnati?
First off, props to the Vikings. I think they made the right call with doing Nick Mullins. That Josh Dobbs performance against the Raiders was absolutely pitiful. And yeah, glad to see that their offense was able to do something this time. And then on the Bengals side, man, I think it was probably maybe halfway through the season when they lost Joe Burrow. And sorry, Andrew, but the Steelers, I thought that they would start, pulling away. And it seems so that the Bengals are going the opposite. They are the ones that are kind of making a run for that division, and Steelers have been slipping up when they lost their quarterback too. So it kind of sucks to see. I know definitely we like to root for our teams as a group here, but yeah, I mean, props to the Bengals for being able to have Jake Browning step up, um, and yeah, seeing Jamar Chase possibly be out for next week. I picked up T Higgins randomly on the waiver wire. Someone dropped him, so I'm
Ooh,
hoping
that's
this
a good
can
pickup.
help
Yeah.
propel me for this second round of the playoffs. But I don't really have much more to say. Cool game that went into overtime. But yeah, yeah, props to the Bengals. And Vikings still have a shot at 7-7. They have a good matchup against the Lions this week, so I think that'll be very indicative of whether or not they can make playoffs. But yeah, that's pretty much what I saw. How about you, Rob?
Yeah, I was pretty shocked at this one. So I was actually watching this game in Vegas. So I went to Vegas this past weekend, and
Oh,
I was
nice.
seeing everything on like the big screen HD, right? And like the whole, I can't even explain like the whole casino that was like that I was at watching this Bengals Vikings game. Everybody was just going crazy. Like anytime you would see, like with the fact that it even went to OT, everybody was like going nuts on both ends, right? You had some Vikings fans or maybe not true fans, but like people who are just rooting for the Vikings and then the Bengals as well. And yeah, it was insane. It was really fun to watch. I was kind of shocked. I really thought the Vikings were gonna have it because they were in the lead for a while, and I thought that they just were gonna end up closing it out, but they just couldn't do it. And then with the Bengals making that field goal, that's all she wrote. So I was watching it and I was like, damn, that one touchdown too. I forget who the receiver was, but caught it, did a quick spin, and like barely got the football over the line, and they counted it as touchdown. I was like, man, that was nuts. It was a really fun game to watch, though.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, it was a great game, and both quarterbacks, going over 300 yards. Like it was a great passing attack game
Yeah.
for both quarterbacks and the Vikings and the Bengals. So good game there. Moving on to the Bears and the Browns. Chicago Bears travel to the Cleveland Browns to take them on. The Browns came out on top 20-17. This was a game that I watched and I was honestly kind of crossing my fingers for Justin Fields and DJ Moore and kind of rooting for the underdog in this one. I
Mhm.
think it would be good to see the Bears come out with a win on this and knock the Browns down a peg. But it didn't end up that way. And Justin Fields, he had to actually throw a couple Hail Marys, and one of them was intercepted towards the end of the game. And it just wasn't in the cards for Chicago.
Mhm.
Justin Fields, he had two interceptions. You can't really win a game when you have two interceptions. But then on the other side, Joe Flacco also had three interceptions, right? So it was a lot of turnovers in this game. Very, very sloppy game, in my opinion. But my key takeaway on this game is Joe Flacco, 374 yards. This is a guy that basically came out of retirement to fill in for the Browns, and he's putting up 300 plus yards week in and week out. I think he's back to back weeks plus 300 yards, and he's getting it done for Joe Flock for the Browns. So I think he's great. I think he's great for Njoku. If you get fantasy managers, you have Njoku. If you have Amari Cooper, he's good. He's great for these guys. He's really putting the pass game on his back. DJ Moore, didn't have the best fantasy production, 4 receptions, 52 yards. Although I think he's got a better matchup this week. I'm really hoping that he steps up for me this week because I am starting him. Then Amari Cooper as well, 4 receptions for 109 yards. That's over 25 yards of reception there for
Mhm.
average, and then a touchdown. So overall, I thought it was a great game. I thought a lot of turnovers for my taste, but Joe Flacco is getting it done with plus 300 yards. Turn it over to Rob. We'll mix it up this time and give Rob a chance to put his 2 cents in here.
Yeah. No, yeah, I didn't watch this game, but I did expect the Browns to win as well. But I mean, also at the same time, right, like Justin Fields, he kind of just like can be hit or miss sometimes with like big games. If we're talking like fantasy points wise, he can have some really solid games, and then other times he's a little bit more quiet. And it just seems like this one was just one of those times. And yeah, like I said, I didn't watch this game, but yeah, not super shocked to see the Browns win. Because yeah, I know Amari Cooper has been doing really well. And Joku on has been doing pretty good too. But yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I guess if like when you say that you watched this game and you kind of saw that things were looking kind of sloppy, what do you think could like what do you think was like the contributing factor to that? Was it just poor offense, poor defense, or what are we thinking there?
I think I think Cleveland's defense is phenomenal this season. I think they're a top three ranked defense, and having Miles Garrett put a lot of pressure on Justin Fields, and having him throw some bad throws, will cause those interceptions. As far as Joe Flacco, I think there was like a couple of tipped balls that just ended up going in the Bears way.
Mm,
Um, but yeah, I think anytime that you turn over the ball over 5 times in a game says a lot, right?
yeah.
So that's and especially if really I feel like it can really determine the game, if especially where you're at when those balls are turned over, as far as like the 20-yard line, the 30-yard line, are you in the red zone? It really plays a contributing factor in the game. That's my thought. Eli, do you got something as far as that question goes?
No, I would agree. I think the turnover battle was there, and it was a good defensive performance by both. I was just looking at the play-by-play recap just to kind of remember, but man, the beginning of this game, 8 punts and an interception until points were finally scored. So it was a very slow start, and towards the end, it wasn't being tied 17-17. Uh, Bears had the ball with 118, I think, like about 2 minutes left. And I thought that maybe it'd go to OT because I didn't see anyone scoring. Uh, Bears went three and out, they punt it, and then Cleveland goes down and gets that field goal at the last second. So
Yeah.
that's why it did get close to the end. And so, I mean, it wasn't as exciting until the end of the game. But yeah, from what I remember and from what I saw, that's kind of where it was at. And Njoku's numbers, I'm looking at it now. He got
He's the go-to, man. He's the go-to.
I
He's
mean
the go-to
14,
for that team now.
14
Yeah.
targets, like the target
Yeah.
share. That's insane.
Yeah.
And okay, I have a quick fantasy question for you guys. I have Hawkinson and Njoku on my team. I didn't start Njoku the past 2 weeks. He's been putting up like almost 30
Bro,
points.
like, yeah,
Okay,
bro.
but
I've been starting him crazy for tight end.
do
He's the number
do
like 8 now or something like that.
I think he's number 6. Do I put him as a flex? Start both Hawkinson and Njoku.
Oh, damn.
Who else do you have on your bench that
Jacoby
you would start over?
Myers, and I think OBJ. I think I'd rather start
Honestly, I'd
Njoku
start
and
Njoku.
Hawkinson.
Yeah,
So I think I might
yeah.
do that. Like I might take a risk. I mean, he seems like he gets all the targets, so I feel like he
I
may
did
be my
that one
best.
one one time during the season where I did a double tight end, and it actually paid off. So,
Really?
but my bench wasn't that stacked. So I mean, like, it just depends on what you got on the bench. But hey,
Yeah,
man, I would say Njoku's he's leading the target share. On top of that, his yards after contact what set up I believe their last game for that field goal.
yeah. And the Texans
So
are also terrible against tight ends. So this upcoming week, I think Joku might have another big game. So we'll see. I
I'm
don't know.
rolling with
I've
him.
been debating on that, but
That's crazy
Nice.
because remember not too long ago, like a couple months ago, and Joe had that accident where he like burned a good
Yeah, it
amount of
burned his face or
face.
something. Yeah,
It's
very
insane.
unfortunate.
And he's still popping off.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. Well, we are going to move on to Savvy Sav's favorite team here, the Eagles. They fall to a 10-4 record. The Seahawks, came out on top roughly by a field goal, but they move on to a 7-7 record. I'll turn this over to you, Eli, just to get your thoughts first on the Eagles and the Seahawks game here.
yeah. I mean, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I think this one hurts the most out of the three losses we've had these past 3 weeks, just because it was so close, and the Eagles had a chance to take it down and tie it up at the end of the game. Um, Overall, just the offense was pissing me off. I don't know, they were not getting it done. They were making some weird calls still. A couple of deep bombs when they didn't need to do that. And our defense was serviceable. There were times, but they also let the Seattle Seahawks come down and just score super quickly at the end of the game. So that was disappointing to see. Um Jalen Hurts, I know he was sick during this game. He said he had like a flu
He
coming
almost
into
didn't
this, and he
play.
was questionable to play. So I don't know if that had a factor, but yeah, 2 interceptions on his end. That was pretty bad. And yeah, just some weird fumbles too. So overall, disappointing game. This is a game they should have. I think they should have won, and they needed to win to stay in pace with the Cowboys and the Niners. But now they have the Giants, Cardinals, and Giants. So I pray to God this is where they clean stuff up, they figure it out, and get something rolling going into the playoffs. Because right now, 3 game losing streak, you can't get really worse from here. So I'm hoping they can turn around and get better. But I'm not feeling super high right now on them. So I'm hoping they figure it out. But we'll
If
see. I don't know what it
anybody
is.
bet on the Seahawks, they came out big, dude. Because I don't think many people were like estimating the Seahawks to win. I thought, I'll be honest, I thought this was going to be like the easiest dub. But also, to be fair, the Seahawks have done this before where they pull out like some crazy comeback win. But yeah, man, I mean, me personally, and I didn't mean to like jump into it, Andrew, ahead of you, but I
No, you're
think
good, man.
that I think the turnovers is kind of what lost the game, with like the 2 interceptions and things like that. Like if that wouldn't have been the case, it probably would have been an easy dub. I don't know if maybe they came in thinking like, yo, this is going to be a wash, and maybe just like took the foot off the gas a little bit. But I was crazy shocked to see this outcome because the Eagles are really really good as well. So yeah, I was pretty shocked to see this one.
Yeah, I'll jump in here. Yeah, I mean, you, this is Drew Lock. He's filling in for Geno Smith and throws over 200 yards, a touchdown. Some pretty decent stats. Not amazing, not great, not elite stats there. Kenneth Walker, 19 carries, 86 yards, a touchdown. Not amazing stats in that regard either. DK Metcalf held under 100 yards. I think it comes down to the turnovers, right? And Jalen Hurts has 2 turnovers. I think as close as it is with the Eagles having 2 turnovers. I also think when Jalen Hurts is not having his best game, his passing it just might not be where you want it to be, and that kind of reflects in AJ Brown's 5 receptions for 56 yards. So I think they kind of have to have that balanced offense, balanced run game slash passing attack, and I just don't think it was there this week. I'm really hoping they bounce back because I have Jalen Hurts as a fantasy quarterback. I have DeAndre Swift as a running back. I think I took their defense this week as well. So I'm really hoping they get it together. They bounce back. I do think they will. Their schedule does get a lot easier with the Giants as well as the Cardinals. I think they're gonna have a bounce back game next week, and I still think they're gonna make a deep playoff run. I just think it might be a little bit harder rather than clinching that the top of the NFC. But we'll soon find out as the schedule as we get further along in the schedule here.
You guys want to know
Any
a quick stat?
Go for it.
Eagles haven't beat the Seahawks since 2008.
That's
It's
crazy.
been a lot. Like we've gotten our asses kicked somehow every time. So
You know,
yeah, it's been a
you
while. It's been a while, and the streak continues.
it's funny, Eli. I didn't want to add salt to the wound, but I heard that stat as well. It was like
Yeah,
this Pete Carroll's eighth time. They're like 8-0 against the Eagles since like 2010. And so
honestly, man. Even during our Super Bowl run in 2017, we got our asses kicked by the Seahawks, and that was a game that was like, oh man, I had to take a step back that during that year. But yeah, it's been tough with them. So they'll keep it going. Guys, gotta wait for Pete Carroll to retire till something happens. So we'll see.
yeah.
Uh, Another exciting game that I tuned into to watch and thought would be a little bit closer as well was the Cowboys. They traveled to Bills Mafia to take on the Bills, and the Bills came out on top. This was a surprising win for me, just because the records here don't really reflect, how well each team is, in my opinion. But the Bills have dropped some games where you just don't think they should have. They don't think they should have lost, and they're now sitting at 8-6 in the hunt for the AFC playoffs. But they came out with a 31-10 victory against the Cowboys. The Cowboys dropped to 10-4, and yeah, this was something that I knew was going to be a good matchup, and I was looking forward to this game in particular because I know these are going to be 2 playoff teams for playoff teams. With that, Dak Prescott, he had some decent stats here. 21 completions, 134 yards. Nothing exceptional. But the Bills really ran it up on their side, right? Josh Allen, 7 completions for 94 yards, a touchdown. And James Cook, MVP of this game. And I know Michael had said this earlier on the podcast that, they kind of did away with their offensive coordinator and there's someone new, play calling there, and they're getting James Cook very involved, whether that's carrying or passing as well. But he went for 25 carries, 179 yards, and a touchdown. And then Josh Allen doing what he does as well. It was just a great overall performance by the Bills, for them to take this and really put a stamp on their playoff spots here. So I'll turn this over to Savvy Sav. Thoughts on the Cowboys taking on the Bills?
The only thing that kind of heals the loss a little bit for the Eagles is seeing the Cowboys get their asses kicked. This was great to see. I loved it. Cowboys can't be good teams, and that does say something about them beating the Eagles, but they went 1-1, so regardless. Yeah, fun to see. Bills are on a tear right now, and they're I think they're for sure gonna make playoffs. They could have a good run. I know you mentioned it earlier, Rob, about them possibly being Super Bowl contenders. I definitely believe that. I think they're getting hot at the perfectly right time. And yeah, I think their offensive tech, they're instead of just feeding the ball to Diggs, like I think they were trying earlier in the season, they are
Mhm.
spreading it around a lot. And I think that's very beneficial to that team. Um, Josh Allen didn't have to go crazy into the air this game. And, I know when he does that, he plays hero ball and things can get dicey. And that's when a lot of turnovers happen. But this one, no turnovers. There's only one fumble, I think, by Ty Johnson. So, or actually, no fumbles. That was a recovery. Yeah. So it was very beneficial for the Bills to just focus on the running game on this one. And I mean, how many points are they going to score next week? Going up against the Chargers, man. This is going to be some. This could be a
Spread's
bloodbath.
12, bro. Spread is
Yeah,
12.
It's
and
It's
insane.
crazy.
I could see it being even bigger. I think they're going to kill that team. You got Stick playing out there, and I don't even know if Allen's going to be even playing. So uh, it's going to be tough. So yeah, overall, props to the Bills, and boohoo for the Cowboys. They have a tough schedule, so we'll see if they can get some more games under their belt. But I'm liking the Eagles' chance at taking them over in the NFC East, but we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, and I don't know how y'all feel about this, but just like the momentum that they have coming back from beating the Chiefs at their own home, I thought that that was going to play a big factor into this. Plus, like home field advantage, right? They're playing in Buffalo, like they're true to this, not new to this. So when they got the Cowboys coming over, I kind of figured that they were going to win as well. And it's funny because I was talking to my brother when we were in Vegas and we were putting our parlay bets in. He's like, "I'm gonna go Cowboys," and I was like, "Dude." I don't know. He's like, look at the record. And I was like, dude, you don't count out Josh Allen and the Bills, man. Like, you don't really know. And I was like, plus they just beat the Chiefs and they were the underdog there as well. I was like, so don't let the record fool you because it could be a different outcome. And so he didn't bet. He listened to me and he got to keep some of his money. So
Nice,
good all
nice.
around.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, I think Josh Allen, it's hard to count Josh Allen out, right? Just as a quarterback, just because he's a mobile quarterback and he tends to get the ball out just before he gets sacked in a lot of these games. And the record does not reflect the how well of a team they are. They dropped some games they should have won, and I think it could have easily be, a 10-4 record or a 9-5 record here. But it's overall it was a good game, and it was good to see the Cowboys get knocked down a notch here. So, last game we'll get into before we kind of go into top action would be the Texans and the Titans. This was a close game, only a field goal away, but it was interesting seeing how the Texans were going to play, considering they had they had Tank Dell out, they had CJ Stroud out, and so having two of your biggest weapons not there, it was interesting to see them play and see them adjust to it, right? But they came out on top 19 to 16, and when it ended it happened so fast. Everybody was kind of in disbelief that it just ended just like that. A quick 3 and out, and that was it. You know but Case Keenum started for the Texans in place of CJ Stroud, went for 23 completions, 229 yards, and a tutty. Noah Brown really picked it up this game. He filled in because Nico Collins was out, Tank Dell is out, so he stepped up to the plate, and I think he's got a lot of good chemistry with Case Keenum. Being closer to that third string, fourth string, I think that they take reps together, so they have some pretty good chemistry there. 8 receptions, 82 yards, and a touchdown. Overall, I thought it was a great game, but I just didn't think Will Levis, was the quarterback that he'd shown in the past. He didn't get DeAndre Hopkins involved that much, and the run game just wasn't there either. So, tough loss for the Titans. They're sitting at 5-9 record now, but Texans they're in the hunt for the playoffs on the AFC side, 8-6, and it's exciting to see Texans talking playoffs. I'll turn it over to Savvy Sav and get your thoughts on this Texans and Titans matchup.
I mean, they Texans, Colts, and Jacksonville are all 8-6 now, so it is
Yeah,
a tight race. So they
it
definitely
is
needed this win. Um, and I think once CJ Stroud comes back, that's going to be huge for them. Same with Nico Collins. I don't even know if Stroud's going to be back in this next game. I think he's
I think he's
questionable, right?
unlikely. Yeah, I think he's unlikely.
Yeah. So I mean, if they can hopefully just hold this together with whatever Case Keenum glue they got to, maybe scrounge another win, that's going to be very key for them. But this was a this was a big matchup for them. They needed this divisional win. Titans, yeah, this is another bad year. I like Will Levis. I think he's going to need some more time to develop. But I think he does have a lot of talent. He does have a good arm. I think they just also need better receivers for him too. I mean, these guys are out there doing what they can, but yeah, I mean, when you got Burks being your number one guy you're throwing to, it's not the biggest thing you want to see. Hopkins had a pretty disappointing game too. So overall, I mean, yeah, Spears, outdid Henry on this one too, right? So
Yeah.
this is tough on that. Um, yeah, overall, yeah, not much more to say. Just close game, getting to OT, kind of an ugly game till the end, but props to Texans for being able to take this out.
Yeah, I don't really have too much on this one either. I thought that I don't know why I thought the Titans were gonna win, but seeing the Texans win, I'm like, damn, yeah, because I compared them to last season, and that was just like a complete night and day scenario to how they're doing now. So yeah, I'm kind of stoked to see them win as well, and hopefully they can keep doing some good stuff because yeah, it's been tough for them.
Yeah, my biggest thing with the Titans is I think the line isn't there. They don't give Will Levis enough time to throw the ball. And then on top of that, when I see Derrick Henry run the ball, it just seems like he's already given up. Like he just doesn't want to get hurt. Like he's preserving himself. And I get it. I get it. But I mean, like someone if you have someone like that you draft in the first round for fantasy purposes, you'd hope for them to try a little bit harder or do a little bit more. But he does get those goal line touches. He does get those goal line touchdowns. So something he's been consistent with, but I don't know if it's enough to keep him sustainable for an RB1 at least.
Yeah.
But yeah, that wraps up our week 15 recap. We had some exciting games, some overtime games, and some close calls there. But other than that, that gives you the recap about week 15. We're gonna move into week 16, top action, where this is where we analyze and preview some of the most exciting matchups of next week. And do we have a lot of primetime games going on? We have slate on Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, and Christmas Day on Monday. So a lot of exciting week for football that's going on. We'll start with the Thursday night matchup. This is tomorrow's matchup. The Saints, they're 7-7. They're traveling to LA to take on the Rams here at the SoFi Stadium. The Rams are 7-7 as well. This is a battle for 7-7 teams here. Catch this one on Amazon Prime, and I'll start with the Rams fan himself. Rob, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm biased here, so take everything I say with a grain of salt. But yeah, I'm really relying on the momentum from winning the last game against the Commanders as well. Obviously, the Commanders aren't the best team in the world, but I just still think, getting that win, and then trying to factor in home field advantage, hoping that they can pull a win out. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of my thoughts. As far as like, I don't know if y'all do like try to guess the score. But I'm gonna go ahead and make a bold prediction here. I'm gonna say Rams 20 win over Saints 14.
Interesting.
Nice,
Interesting.
nice.
Cool. Thoughts on this one, Savvy Sav?
Yeah, I personally love the Rams right now. I think their offense is firing, and Kyron Williams, Cooper Cup had an amazing game last game. And Stafford's also been on fire too, as being their QB there. So I like the Rams. I'm gonna probably be in that same range. I think maybe a 21-14 game, just because it's Thursday night. It's a quick turnaround. My only concern, because the Rams have injury issues in the past, being an aging team, being this quick turnaround time going to Thursday, not a lot of time to rest. I obviously don't want to jinx anything. I just hope no one gets hurt. Like this is a game you need to make sure you win, but also not have anyone have any major injuries, just to make sure you're healthy going to the playoffs. So I think that's a big key to like watch out for. But that's my main concern. But I still see the Rams taking this one for sure.
Yeah, yeah. My thoughts here are I think the Rams have a great offense. I think their defense lacks a little bit, in my opinion. And they do have home field advantage here, but there's quite a bit of Saints fans that I've seen over the years in LA as well. With that being said, I'm gonna go against the grain here. I'm gonna say the Saints take this one. And that's strictly because I feel like the Saints have a sneaky team, right? With Alvin Kamara and Olave, he's been really heating up. And even Taysom Hill, it's just a sneaky team. So I'm gonna go against the grain and say the Saints take this one, not by much. I'm thinking it's about a 2017 victory for the Saints. They are my upset of the week, so I'm gonna stick with the Saints on this one.
Nice. Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think even, being a Rams fan, I can acknowledge that it's pretty hit or miss sometimes. Like you don't really know which way it's going to swing. I think there's a lot of factors come game time that you don't really take into account. And at the end of the day, it's just a prediction, right? We're trying our best that we can with the information that we have. So yeah, I'm not even going to say that's a totally, in or a prediction that you're making.
Yeah, yeah. Moving on to Saturday slate, we have two matchups there. The Bills, they're 8-6. We were just talking about this game earlier. They're traveling to LA to take on the Chargers. The Chargers are 5-9, not doing so hot after losing Justin Herbert as well as Keenan Allen, but really hoping that Austin Eckler really makes a comeback for the Chargers here. I'm gonna go out and say the Bills take this. With not your starting quarterback,
Go against the grain
you're
here too, man.
no, I think the Bills take it. The Bills take it. Justin Herbert's out, so they're on a backup quarterback. Keenan Allen was out. I don't know if he's coming back. And then they just fired their coach. So I think the Bills have a really good shot, a solid shot at taking this one. And I'm gonna go out and say they came up with the dub on this Saturday. Turn it over to you, Rob. What are your thoughts on the Bills and the Chargers here?
Because these odds are so insane, I kind of just want to put like $5 on the Chargers. I don't even know, just to see. You never know, dude. You never know. No, I'm just kidding. I honestly, I think this is gonna be a reckoning. This is gonna be Raiders Chargers 2.0. But I don't know. I mean, they got humbled so bad last week that maybe they come in like way more aggressive. They just fired the coach. Everybody probably thinks their job's on the line right now. So who knows? They might pull some crazy moves out. But yeah, I think the Bills take it by a long shot, honestly.
Yeah,
Nice.
any given Sunday for sure. But I don't see what their offense can do to really do anything against this team. And they were able to stifle one of the best offenses in the game with the Cowboys right now. So that's gonna be tough hill to climb up for the Chargers. So I'll also ride and say the Bills. The spread though, 12. I think the Bills also take that spread. I think they kick the shit out of them. I think it's gonna be a
Oh
three
my
touchdown
God.
game, but that's just on me. I think it should be a bloodbath.
Whew. Whew. All right. Well, tune into NBC to catch that game there. Moving on to the Bengals. They're 8-6. They're traveling to Pittsburgh to take on the 7-6 Steelers. I'll catch this one on Peacock if you guys are interested in this game. It's a game I will definitely be watching. I still got hope. I still got hope. Three L's back to back, but I'm still rooting for the home team here, and I still got hope. I think if TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith can get to Jake Browning, it can cause him to throw the ball and throw it inaccurately, right? If Jamar Chase isn't available to the Bengals this upcoming week, I think that plays a factor there. And then I think if we can really stifle Jake Browning and Joe Mixon, I think at that point they don't really have any other weapons, in my opinion. That's just where I'm at. As far as the Steelers offense, I am concerned, right? We're starting Mason Rudolph. Last time he had his start against the Bengals, there were or that I don't know. With that quarterback room, man, it's just all over the place. I mean, at best we're C, maybe C plus at best. And I don't know, man. He's been with the organization long enough. He knows the system well enough where you want to believe in him. but I just don't think he's proven himself. This might be his opportunity though. So we'll see. I'll turn it over to Rob to get your opinion on the Bengals traveling to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, this is the week of the 7-7s, right? I know Steelers are in that boat as well. So, every the way I see it is like every L is just closer to the next dub, and so I'll try to be optimistic for the Steelers here too. I do think what they have to their advantage is the fact that the Bengals are traveling to them. And then I think what favors Bengals is that they just kind of they just won against the Vikings, got that momentum up as well, especially with Jake Browning. And so yeah, it's hard to tell. I mean, I don't know how people feel about that stuff. Normally some people think it's like, that's not really like a deciding factor, but hey, I'm not going to say it doesn't take into account. So hopefully the Steelers can win. I'll root for the Steelers on this one for sure.
Let's go.
So last time they played each other was on the 26th, 16-10. Pittsburgh took it. Ever since then, 3-game losing streak for the Steelers, 3-game winning streak for the Bengals. So that's just where things changed for each side. Um, I'm gonna take the Bengals in this one. I think they split 1-1. However, I think the Steelers, for them to have a shot, they need to get Jalen Warren going. I think that's their key, is to get their run game. Ty Chandler went off on this team last week on the Bengals defense, so I think that's kind of where they need to focus on, is their run game. And if they can do that, control time, possession, and put a lot of pressure on Browning, then I think that's where they can have it. But I also think the Bengals are a little more potent on their offense. I think they're a little more real. They're getting it together a little more right now, and I
Does
have more
Jamar
trust
Chase
in.
not play a factor in that though?
I don't know, man. I think T Higgins can step up just as well. And I think that could be. I like T Higgins better than I like Deontay Johnson or Pickens. So I don't know. It's just gonna vary, but yeah, I think the run game will be important for both sides. So whether or not Mixon or Warren can go off, I think that's where your best shot is. But I personally think it's gonna go 1-1 for their series split this year, and I'm gonna have to take the Bengals on this one. But we'll see. We'll see, man. Hopefully you guys need this win if you want a shot to stay in playoff contention.
Yeah. I don't think we've
How do
not
you
made playoffs since like 2003 or something like that. Like it's a crazy statistic that Mike Tomlin is the most winning coach in the NFL
Well, no,
and
I think you guys haven't made playoffs, but you've had a winning record.
winning record. That's what
Winning
it is,
record,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, to keep that streak alive, man. Do what you
Yeah,
can.
how do you feel
definitely.
how do you feel about Najee Harris?
Yeah. Najee Harris is someone that has turned from a hybrid back, in my opinion, where he was a little bit elusive, but still can, pick up those 3 or 4 yards, to now a more of a power back with his stiff arms and, getting 3 to 5 yards consistently, in my opinion. And Jalen Warren's more of that scat back, right? He's a little bit smaller, a little bit faster, hit the agility, hits the holes a little bit harder. Where Najee kind of sits and waits to see what hole develops and then hits the hole. So I think they now have their complementary roles, where in the beginning it was strictly a 3/4 workload was to Najee, and a fourth the workload maybe to change a back type of pace with Jalen Warren. But in my eyes, I honestly think Jalen Warren is the more efficient back.
Mhm.
But if you need a goal line, big back, 2, 3 yards type of carry, I would give it to Najee.
Yeah.
So that's just my opinion on that backfield. But I definitely think they need to be a little bit more consistent with the pass. And I know that's hard when you have Mitch Trubisky or Mason Rudolph, and you're still deciding who gets that starting job. And we'll see. We'll see how it plays off. I do think if Mason Rudolph doesn't do well for the rest of the season for the Steelers, that it's coming towards the end of are you a valuable backup option for the Steelers? So that's
Really?
just my thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of sounds similar to like Zeke, like Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard on the Cowboys. Like Tony Pollard started to take more of a leading role, and now he's just full RB1 at this point. So I don't know. I'm not gonna say that's gonna happen here. You'd probably know more than me, but that's kind of what it sounds like right now. At least a little bit, like early stages, maybe.
Yeah. No, I would agree. 100%. I would definitely agree.
Yeah.
Awesome. Moving into Sunday night's matchup, we have the Patriots. They are 3-11. And Bill Belichick on the end of retirement, in my opinion, here with the Patriots. They're traveling to Denver to take on the 7-7 Broncos. Broncos really coming back. You know, they're really I think they've won 6 or 7 of the past games that they've had. Tune into Peacock to catch this game here. I'm just gonna go and say that the Broncos take this one, and I'm just going straight based off record. Haven't seen too much of the Patriots games these past games, but it's not a lot to watch. And I think Bill Belichick's aging out. Kind of makes you wonder though, you know, was it Tom Brady? Was it Gronk? Was it Julian Edelman? Like, was it because of the players or was it truly because of the coaching, in my opinion?
Yeah.
You know, I guess I'll pose that question to you guys. What are your thoughts on that? You know, the Patriots, they're not doing so hot this year, and it's not like Bill Belichick in his dynasty eras. What are your thoughts as far as, him, was it him or was it the players, would you say?
I think it's a great question. I think it maybe has a lot of people questioning this at this point. But I mean, me personally, I'm not gonna say I'm the biggest Tom Brady fan, but I do appreciate his goatness, right? I think the biggest testament to his skill was just going to the Buccaneers and winning Super Bowl that same year. And then the Patriots, not doing crazy hot the following years. So I think it's a testament to, Tom Brady and how good he is. I'm not going to say Bill Belichick's not good in his own respect as well, but I think maybe to your point, he's probably on his way out. Retirement, is on the horizon. So it just kind of looks like he's just falling out at this point. I mean, even Tom Brady retiring too after the Bucks. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I guess I would agree. I would say I think it's more a testament to Tom Brady and the team rather than the coaching. But again, I'm not like a Pats fan. I haven't been watching for that long, like their dynasty and everything. But that's just kind of my thoughts, I guess.
I mean, my thing is, and I think the real test would be if Belichick goes to the Chargers. If he decides to leave and go coach for them, look at the Chargers. Look at their players. Look at who they have stacked with them, right? And what's the problem with them? Coaching. So if you put Belichick in there and he can take that team in, then that shows that coaching is a huge factor too. Because
That's a
clearly they couldn't get their defense going, and Belichick is a defensive guru. So I think that would be his one true test for
It's
Belichick
actually a
to cement
solid call.
himself. That's his way to cement himself, I think. Right now, the Patriots, their ship has sailed. I think they're in full rebuild, and if Belichick wants, I think he should be on a team that kind of has a better positioning. And right now the Patriots aren't it. They're just falling apart. Mac Jones is not it. They're gonna have to, go from scratch and try to get a new quarterback probably. And yeah, I don't know. And it's weird. You don't really see the Patriots going after these big number one guys very often. They were able to run it so well with picking up journeymen and paying minimum salaries and working
It's
around that,
true.
and it was successful for so long. So it's a weird situation for them, and I don't think it's going to be fixed for a while, especially having a division with the Bills, the Dolphins on a tear, the Jets maybe when Aaron Rodgers comes back. So regardless, it's a lot of competition on their end. So yeah, I think that's probably the best case for Belichick is to get out of there and try something else. Same thing with Tom Brady. I mean, they both he decided to do that. So
Yeah. No, I think that's a great point. If he were to go to the Chargers, I think he has enough pieces to make it a good team. So yeah, let's see what he ends up doing.
Speaking of the Jets, just because you mentioned it quite briefly, and Aaron Rodgers coming back, do you foresee him playing this weekend? And if so, why? You know, what's the point in that regard of him actually stepping on that field and playing? Is it strictly to say if if the Jets were in a better position to make a playoff run, he would be ready and he can play that role, but it's not the case. So I mean, do you guys see him playing this week? And if so, how do you think he does for not playing football as long as he has this season?
I don't know if I misread this, but I want to say I thought he confirmed that he wasn't going to play for the rest of the season. I
Mm,
don't remember where exactly I saw that. But yeah, I mean, to your point, right? It sounds like you're thinking that it doesn't really make sense. I don't think so really either at this point. They're kind of far down the ladder at this point that I don't think there's much that they can really do. So I think they're going to play it safe, not include him, even if he maybe is capable of playing, just to further, solidify him for like next season. And then on top of that, they're playing against the Commanders. I don't think they even really need Aaron Rodgers at this point. I don't think the Commanders are doing that hot. So I think they could, do without him for the rest of the season and just kind of go from there.
I mean, the only reason I could see him wanting to play is for him to say, "Hey, I beat modern medicine. I didn't get a vaccine, so clearly I can heal faster than everyone else." That's the only reason why I can see him doing that. But
Hot take.
realistically, yeah, there's nothing for him to play for. So I think he just wanted to be activated to prove that, oh, I'm healing faster than everybody else because I have my own methods. And then he's going to be selling some type of super drink next season, like Tom Brady has his TB12.
Yeah.
So who knows? Who knows? We'll see what happens. But yeah, that's the only reason why I could see him being optimistic about maybe coming back. But for all the money they put on him, I doubt they would ever let him come back this season.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we're all in the same boat there.
Awesome. Moving on to Christmas Day, we got Monday day and night matchups. So Christmas Day, the Raiders, they travel to Arrowhead, one of the loudest stadiums in the NFL, to take on the Chiefs. The Chiefs are 9-5, Raiders are 6-8. I'll give my thoughts first on this one. I think that the Chiefs have a red Christmas and they come away with a win, and it's at home for them. And I think the Raiders, they lose in Raiders fashion, and unfortunately they go home with an L. So that's just, I'll leave it short and sweet at that. The Chiefs take it in my opinion, and they move on to a 10-5 record. Turn this over to Savvy Sav to get your thoughts on it.
Yeah, man. Raiders, they had their chance when they were playing them in Vegas. And, they were up by 2 scores, could have got up by 3, but they couldn't do that. And then Chiefs came rolling back and beat them in that game. This is in Arrowhead. This is prime time for the Chiefs, Christmas morning. They need this win to try to maybe get first round bye. So they are going to be fighting for it. I don't see what the Raiders. I know they have a small chance to get to the playoffs, but they got really lucky going off against the Chargers, who were falling apart. I don't see them really making it progress again like that this week. And I'm just going to be safe and take the Chiefs on this one.
Yeah, I don't see the Chiefs losing back-to-back home games. I think that this time they're going for blood at this point. They want to, or actually no, sorry. I was remembering when they played the Bills last and they lost. I think they won their last game, right?
Yeah, they beat the Patriots.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Okay. Yeah, so okay, so yeah, I just don't think they're gonna lose this home game. To your point, right? Like Raiders, I know they did great last week against the Chargers, but I mean, I feel like a lot of other teams maybe would have did the same amount of damage. So I mean, let's see though, right? I think like on the flip side, Raiders winning, having that momentum, we'll see where it leads, but I can't imagine Chiefs losing either, to be honest.
Question.
Awesome. So
Does Kelsey finally get his touchdown? I think every week we've been betting on him getting an anytime touchdown. He hasn't got it in like 3 or 4 weeks. Does he finally get it this time? Think so? This is the time to bet
I'd
on it
put five
finally?
bucks on it. Yep.
All right.
I'd put
All
five
right.
bucks that he does. Um,
What
yeah,
does that
yeah,
return?
no,
What does that
definitely.
return look? What does that return look like?
I think it's usually just straight plus 100 bet usually. But like usually for prize picks or something, it'll be on there and we'll just throw it on there through a parlay.
Yeah. Like a parlay with player props generally is what we're thinking.
Uh,
Um, I think we're all in consensus that the Chiefs take this over the Raiders. Moving on to the Giants and the Eagles. Giants are 5-9. They're traveling to Philly to take on the Eagles. Eagles are 10-4, coming off an L. But I think this is their get right game. I think this is where the Eagles start to pick up the pace and really start to build that momentum into the playoffs, right? They faced the Giants twice and the Arizona once in that time, and I think this can be a good indicator of the rest of their season, as well as some of the momentum that they're building for the playoffs. I think the fact that it's in Philadelphia says a lot, right? It's hard for teams to come into Philadelphia and get a win. Not saying that's not impossible. I'm just saying those Philly fans are crazy. With that being said, I think Eagles take this undoubtedly. And yeah, I think the Eagles take it and they come away with the win in Philly on Christmas. Tune into Fox to catch it. But let me hear your thoughts, Rob.
Yeah, I think it's the same. I think, coming off of a loss like that to the Seahawks, this is when they start to turn things around. And yeah, I think it's gonna be a wash. Completely being completely honest here. I think the Seagulls are gonna take them out. But I mean, they're underdogs for a reason, so we never truly know. But yeah, I'd be shocked if the Eagles didn't spank the Giants.
Yeah, this is the get right game. This is the one that they need to win, and to get your offense going, to give Brian Johnson some type of credit again because he's been terrible as the OC. And at first the Giants, I thought they were getting something together, and then they get destroyed by the Saints. So clear that offense still has issues on them. The DeVito train is probably slowing down, and I think that spread's a little too big. 12-point spread. Eagles have I don't think they've won. They've beaten a team by more than 2 touchdowns this season. So I don't know. I feel like they play down to competition sometimes, and I probably like this being maybe a touchdown win. Sad to say, I just think that the Eagles have not been winning, like blowing teams out. So I don't
I
know if
think they
that's going
win
to
by
change
two
this one.
touchdowns.
All
I would
right,
take them for 2 touchdowns. I would.
all
I think
right.
they're gonna get blown out, bro. I really do.
I think so too.
After last week, I think they need to put a stamp on it, and they want to send a message, especially to the Giants because they face them, twice in the next 3 weeks. So, if anything, they just want to kill that 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 thought that the Giants even have a chance against the Eagles. So I think they're gonna try to put a whooping on them. Um, but that's my thoughts. That's my thoughts.
Yeah.
Any given Sunday, we'll see.
I
But
I
yeah,
wonder if Boston Scott is going to play at all in this game because you guys all know the joke about Boston Scott being the giant killer. He has scored a touchdown in 7 out of 8 games he's played against him since he started on the Eagles. And he just for some reason always wrecks their line. I don't know why, but Boston Scott has done well every single time he's played against him. So if he plays, if you want to throw a crazy risky guy to throw in there, anytime touchdown or maybe start him in fantasy. I wouldn't start him in fantasy, but
I
if you're
wouldn't start on
desperate,
fantasy.
that's just something to look into. I may throw a parlay with him in there, but
Ooh, that's
that's all
risky
I
in my
got.
opinion. Yeah. All right. Moving on to the most exciting week, our exciting matchup of this week, in my opinion. The Ravens, who are 11-3, leading the AFC conference, take on the Niners, who are 11-3, leading the NFC conference. These are two favorites for the Super Bowl right now. And they're also on the top of their respective conferences. This is going to be a game I'm definitely tuning into, and one of the most exciting games of this season based on their records right now. Um, this is a hard game. This is a hard game to judge. Real hard game to judge. I do think the Niners take it,
I think so too.
strictly because I think they have the offense, right? I think their defense is a little bit lacking, but it can keep up with the Ravens just because the Ravens have not been a very high scoring offense throughout the season in most games. Um, but you never know. You know what I mean? Lamar Jackson, he's hard to get a hold of. He's hard to tackle. But I just think, CMC, George Kittle, Debo Samuels, Brandon Ayuk, Brock Purdy, they just have such a high-powered offense that I don't see them slowing down, not even for the Ravens. So I'm going to give it to the Niners on this one, and I think we should put together something for this one, Eli, as far as, something on some parlays or some games that the Niners take this one. But this might be a Super Bowl matchup for us. What are your thoughts on this one, Rob?
No, I mean to your point, right? I objectively, because I'm a little biased because I lived in San Francisco for the past like 7 years. So, I'm not gonna say I'm a Niners fan, but I do appreciate like how good they are right now. I do want to say, I do want to like, I guess I do want the underdog to win in this one, being the Ravens, because the spread is pretty high compared to how good they're both doing. It's like 5.5 right now, plus like the Baltimore Ravens. And it's hard for me to tell as well, like which team's going to win. I would probably put my money down on the Niners. But again, because of how good they both are, I don't really know which way it's going to swing. But the fact that it's like a home game, Niners territory, fans go crazy, right? I just think that it's gonna overtake the Ravens, but who would I want to win? Possibly the Ravens, just because underdog story. But yeah, I do think the Niners take it as well.
Same, same.
Um, I I'm being a hater. I'm gonna roll with the Ravens on this one. Um,
Why?
I'll-
Why?
listen, I'm looking at the Niners schedule. They do blow out teams. But they're playing. They beat the shit out of Jacksonville, Tampa Bay, Seattle twice, Arizona, and then the Eagles. Um, I said the Eagles was the only team that like surprisingly they blew out. But I think the rest are pretty middling teams. I don't think they play a strong offense like the
I agree.
Ravens have in a while. And prior to the bye week, they were on that 3-game losing streak. I think their key though is having Debo be healthy. Um, and that's what they're going to need this game. If I don't think McCaffrey is going to go off in this game, I think this is a one game where he gets slightly stifled in the run game. So I think the Ravens are pretty strong in that area, and they're going to rely a lot on Debo. And I think as long as you can kind of put some pressure there and kind of get in Purdy space, then that might be the key for this one. And then for the Ravens, I mean, you're going to need guys like Isaiah Likely to step up. You're going to need OBJ to have a better game than he did last week.
Zay
Um,
Flowers.
and Zay Flowers as well. I think Lamar, he's going to need to be very careful on his mistakes, no turnovers on his end. And, he's a good running quarterback too. So that's going to be key in, putting in some interesting plays when it comes to their offense and going up against the Niners defense. So I think it's going to be a fun matchup. I'm rooting for the Ravens in this one strictly for the NFC. And needing the Eagles to have some type of cushion for them to maybe make a crawl back. But yeah, that's just for me. I'm just being a little biased, but I do see the Ravens having a good shot here. Compared to any other team playing the Niners, they're the ones with a good shot. And they're going to be my upset of the week as well that I have later. So this is my reasoning for it. But yeah.
A little bit of favoritism, I sense, from an Eagles fan.
More of a haterism. So we'll see.
Awesome. Well, that wraps up our primetime games and our thoughts on it. A lot of good teams playing. Some 11-3 games facing off. Some 5-9s, 9-5s, 8-6s, 7-6s, 7-7s to start the week. So a lot of good games going on. But we are going to move into other fun matchups, some quick hits here. The Cowboys are 10-4. They're taking on the Dolphins. The Dolphins are also 10-4. There's another good game that I'm looking forward to. This week. Definitely want to see the Dolphins come out with a win in this game. I think Tyreek Hill's coming back. With that, they're in Miami. They have that home field advantage. And the Cowboys, they're coming off a tough loss against the Bills. And they're still on the road. So, and in my opinion, I think the Dolphins have a better offense, but I think the Cowboys have a better defense. With that, I still think the Dolphins take it. My curious thought is, what's the weather like for this game? The Dolphins have such a home court advantage when it comes to their stadium because of the fact of the sun, the jersey color, as well as the stadium itself, how it's retractable. So I think that plays a huge role in it, and I don't think a lot of people know that. It's December, so maybe not the weather's not the hottest, but I still think it plays a role. But I think the Dolphins take this. They're on Hard Knocks. They're making a playoff push here, and I think this would really, help solidify them as a top three seed in the AFC conference. Thoughts on this one, Savvy Sav?
Speaking on the weather, it says 77 degrees, partially cloudy that day. So it should be
Miami's
a
one of those.
nice, cool
not
day.
Miami's one of
football.
those places that's like tropical all year round, man. It's like Hawaii, honestly.
Yeah.
Always kind of
So
warm.
I think this game is gonna be a shootout. I like the over. I think the overs are like 49 and a half. I think as long as Tyreek is, fully healthy in this one and doing his thing. Waddle is also stepping up really well towards the end of the season. So I think that's gonna be their big key factor. But yeah, I think the Cowboys also probably make a good comeback after that, beating on from the Bills. So I think it's gonna be a close one. It's a toss up for me. Um, man. I want to say the Dolphins should be able to take it. I wouldn't be surprised though if the Cowboys are. The spread's only 1.5, so Vegas thinks either one could win it. Um, but I'm gonna ride the Dolphins in this one. I'd rather see them take it, for personal reasons. But yeah, it's a toss up for me.
Rob, thoughts on this one here?
Yeah, I want to say Miami takes it as well. I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with, but Cowboys just came from taking an L as well, so they might try to turn on the gas a little bit more here. I do think, to your point, right, when we think about like home field advantage, weather, taking those things into account, I think that's what kind of favored the Bills this past week was like they were playing in the cold. They're used to this already. I don't really know what the weather's like in Dallas, but I don't imagine it being too cold right now. And so I do think, yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping that Miami takes it as well. I'm actually thinking about maybe even flying out, not specifically to watch the game, but I want to see some other stadiums, man. I know this is like kind of off topic, but I want to see what other football stadiums are out there. So I might try to go see if I can catch that game in person. We'll see.
That'd be
Wow.
fun, man.
Yeah, that would be an awesome game to catch. That's a great game to tune into. Both 10-4 teams, fighting for top seeds in their conferences. So another exciting matchup. Moving on to the Browns, they are 9-5. They're gonna be traveling to Houston to take on the Texans. Texans just scraped by with a win this last weekend. They move on to an 8-6 team. I think these are both great teams at full health, right? And when I say full health, I mean CJ Stroud, I mean Tank Dell, I mean Nico Collins. Texans are a little bit banged up right now, and because of that, I would say the Browns. I'd give it to the Browns in this regard. If CJ Stroud does make a comeback in this game, Myles Garrett is going to be all over him, and that defense is one to reckon with. I think they're a top three defense in the league right now, and the Browns have such a commanding defense. With that being said, Joe Flacco plus 300 yards. I want to say 2 to 3 weeks back to back, getting it done through the air, making Njoku look good, making Amari Cooper look good when in the beginning of the season. Those were people that weren't, that fantasy relevant in my opinion. Amari Cooper a little bit, but definitely not Njoku. So, definitely getting that target share and looking up for the Browns. I'd give it to the Browns to take this one. They have the better record, even though they're traveling to Houston. I still think the Browns have a better shot just because of the CJ Stroud situation, the Nico Collins situation, and the Tank Dell situation. So I'll give it to the Browns on this one. Curious to hear your thoughts, Rob.
Yeah, I might have to back you up on that one. I think that the Browns have a pretty good shot. But yeah, I mean, we'll kind of see how it plays out. I think it's gonna be a good matchup, right? Like, they just came and beat the Titans, Texans, or sorry, yeah, Texans are doing pretty good right now too. So yeah, I'm actually not even too sure how to call this one. I think they're both pretty like even for the most part. Texas home game, yeah, I don't really know at this point, but if I had to take a guess, I'd probably say Texans. I personally I would want the Browns to win, but yeah, I'd probably say Texas home game. Let's see what they do. They need a win too, so. Yeah, I'd probably go Texans on that one.
Savvy Sav.
Yeah, I was looking at this game and it did look like a fun matchup, but if CJ Stroud's out again, that's gonna be tough. I do think, yeah, that Cleveland defense is very powerful, and I think Flacco could have another 300 plus game on for yardage on this one. And I'm loving Njoku. I might definitely start him as a flex guy, and yeah, I think I'm gonna have to lean towards Cleveland on this one just because I think they're pushing in the right direction right now, and yeah, I think they might try to run away with that division. So I'll take the Browns on this one.
Awesome. All right. Well, that wraps up our primetime games and other fun matchups for week 16. Tune in to NBC, Peacock, CBS, Fox, Amazon, wherever you want to catch these games, stream them. But yeah, we are going to move into Rob's fantasy football team. And yeah, I guess Rob, I know you're playing in a fantasy football league. Tell us a little bit about your team, some of the big hitters you have, and whether or not you made playoffs here. What's your record look like?
Yeah, so admittedly, my team's not the best. I had like second to last pick, or yeah, second to last was like my order. So I didn't get to pick a lot of the great people that I wanted. I'm still holding true to a lot of my initial picks, like Lamar Jackson is QB. I had Tua as my backup as well, and they've been doing okay. Lamar Jackson hasn't been the best from a fantasy perspective, at least in the first half of the NFL. But I'm sitting right now at 8-7. I'm in the semifinal. I guess luck have it. I'm playing the number one seed who's 14-1 right now. So I'm projected to lose by 20 points. But yeah, we'll see. As far as like things that you want me to cover, I could talk through my lineup and you can give me some feedback. But yeah, Lamar Jackson starting QB. I think it's going to be a big game against San Francisco. So hopefully he can do some big things. Do you want me to just kind of run through who I have or?
Yeah, yeah. If you want to if you want to run through who you got, or at least your big hitters, that would probably be ideal.
Yeah, so I have Lamar Jackson. I'm starting Zeke this week against Denver because I think that's a pretty good matchup. And Ramondre Stevenson is still out as well. I have Singletary. I picked him up and he dropped 24 he dropped 24 last week. So I'm gonna keep him in, especially playing against the Browns. I am a little worried about the defense though, like Eli was saying. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, so for my wide receivers, I have Diggs and then I have Devontae Adams as well. Diggs hasn't, been doing a ton this season, but hopefully against the Chargers, it's a little bit easier for him to just make some big plays. I have Kittle as well for my starting tight end, McPherson, kicker on the Bengals. And then the one I'm not super confident about, I have Adam Thielen. I don't have a ton of options for wide receiver right now. I have OBJ and DeAndre Hopkins as well, but they didn't do too hot. I'm not really sure how I feel like they're gonna do. If OBJ has a big game, I might put him in like closer to the last minute. But yeah, Panthers take on Green Bay. I thought, Thielen could maybe have a big game, especially going up against Green Bay. But yeah, I don't know. That one I'm still very iffy on at the moment.
If you want a quick, I would, from what I think you could actually swap out Adams, put him in the wide receiver
Mhm.
slot, and then put in Hubbard. I think Green Bay has a terrible rushing defense, and I
Uh,
think Hubbard might have a better shot than Thielen at getting some more points. And his project is higher too, but I think in general,
It's a better
Hubbard might
matchup as
be,
well.
yeah, he might have a
yeah.
better matchup compared to
Yeah.
putting in, yeah. So I would just swap out maybe Thielen and Adams,
And then
and
throw
And
then
it
Hubbard
and
in.
it takes pressure off Bryce Young because Bryce Young he's been getting sacked all year. So I would agree with that. Looking at your lineup, I would agree with that being the first move. If you are thinking about making that move, being Hubbard put in the flex. If you are thinking about strictly wide receivers, I would say Thielen for OBJ. OBJ's got a good matchup. If it's going to be a high scoring game, then that's another good option. I don't think you should rely on DeAndre Hopkins. He's too hit or miss. But I would definitely go Hubbard on this one, man.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Defense, I'm gonna switch out as well. I'm not very confident in Rams going up against New Orleans, but I'm gonna see what else is available closer to game time and then go from there. Might actually have to do that maybe later tonight.
Cool. Yeah, no, that's the overall, dude, solid team though. You know what I mean? Like you got a
yeah.
lot of top 10 guys, a lot of top 15 guys. So Zeke's stepping it up, Singletary stepping up. So your running back situation's looking pretty decent in that regard. So I think, your wide receivers definitely on mark, your tight ends on mark. Kittle's top five, Stephon Diggs top 10, Lamar top 10. Like these are all solid, solid guys at their position. The really in fantasy is any given week, man. So we'll see
No,
what
seriously.
happens. It's any given week depending on who you put in. So best of luck to you in this playoff race, man. And yeah,
If I win,
congrats
if I
on
win
on
this, if I
playoffs.
were to win this game, this is like the Chargers beating the Bills this week, straight up. So fingers crossed for me, but we'll see how it goes.
Oh yeah, man. Well, we wish you luck, bro. Hopefully you can get this dub and move on to the championship.
Yeah,
Yes,
I'll keep y'all
sir.
keep y'all posted.
Nice. All right. Well, in transition to that, we will move into our league that we normally talk about, and we are getting close to the championship. We had our first round that just happened this past weekend, and I'll do just a quick recap. It was only two games. I was able to move on. I beat Edward 127 to 97. So not a super close one, but honestly, the winner for me in that game, James Cook. James Cook gave me such a big output, and I was
Facts.
able to take him out. And on top of that, I'm an idiot and I started Chargers defense. I started out the week with -5 and I crawled my way back to still beat Edwards. So I was so embarrassed. I was like, dude, why did I start that team? But yeah, I was hyped I was able to get that dub. And then Michael, he might be the team to beat in this championship because he beat the shit out of Jared, man. 169 to 104. Tough loss. It's just McCaffrey. McCaffrey had a day. I think he had like 45 points that day. So just a terrible timing to match up against McCaffrey. So sorry, Jared. You made it to the playoffs, but he has been eliminated. So now me and Michael move on. We'll move into the second round. This is the semifinals. I'm going up against Matt. Matt is the first seed. And so far, I think it's kind of a close matchup. It looks like he actually has a similar wide receiver situation with Diggs and Thielen. And Elliott, actually, yeah, it's got a couple similarities with you, Rob.
And the
So
Rams.
I'm sorry, man. Now I kind of hope these guys don't do too hot. But no, I hope for the best. I hope you're able to get your dub, and I hope I'm able to get my dub. But yeah, I'll be going up against Matt. And I think we're pretty evenly matched, and I'm hoping Cook has another big day against the Chargers, and I need them to kind of fall apart on me too. So that's gonna be fun. We'll see how that one goes. And then we also have, I think this is kind of the true championship matchup. It's uh Michael versus Tristan. And this is gonna be a huge one. Michael's got McCaffrey, he's got Kyron, Mike Evans, Sam Laporta,
James
Mixon,
Conner.
James Conner as well. He was able to pick him up because Andrew dropped him for some reason.
Just to see who was gonna grab him.
And then yeah, Tristan on the other side's got Josh Allen, Kamara, Derrick Henry, Tyreek Hill. It's gonna be a very close one. I think both these teams are gonna be able to put up. And it's yeah, it's gonna come down to the wire. So that should be a fun one. I think second round of this playoffs is gonna be some good matchups.
Who the hell
Um,
is Tucker Craft?
I think he picked him up last minute because of Kyle Pitts has been kind of shit in the bed still, so he might be trying to change it up.
Huh.
Anyways, we'll move down to some waiver wire additions. I think it's kind of the same as last week. I didn't really see anyone big. Honestly, a lot of people didn't even pick up just because we're getting close to the end of playoffs, and you usually have your team rounded out. You're not scrounging for that last minute guy. But from on my end, I was able to find T. Higgins, and people like Andrew dropped James Conner, so people were able to pick him up. Um, but yeah, other than that, I don't know if you guys saw any waiver wires or picked anybody up. I really only saw T. Higgins on my end, but no one else really stood out.
Joe
Uh,
Flacco, Noah Brown, and Tajay Spears are the people that I would go after if, in fact, you are in need of those
yeah, usually
areas.
probably quarterback. If you're struggling on quarterback, Joe Flacco might be a good play. Just
Yep.
throw in there and pray for another 300 plus game.
Yep.
But yeah, that's kind of the main thing I saw. Injuries that we saw this happened this last week. Jamar Chase, he is a shoulder injury, questionable for week 16. So look, definitely keep an eye out for that. And keep an eye out that, especially if you have T. Higgins, you may be able to put some more boost in his play production. CJ Stroud has a concussion. He's most likely going to be out for week 16. So once again, it's going to be tough, especially going against pretty strict defense over there. Yeah, I don't know how that's going to go. Madison, keep an eye on him too. He is questionable for week 16. Ty Chandler could be in due for another big game. So that's just another thing to look out for. Justin Jefferson, he still has having chest problems and might be questionable for week 16. So if you have him and you're still in playoffs, props to you. You're able to stay alive this season. But yeah, just keep an eye out for him. And then Nico Collins, that's once again regarding the Texans. He's going to be questionable for week 16. If he does play, I would probably temper your expectations on him because CJ Stroud probably won't. So we'll see how that goes against the stout defense. And that kind of summarizes our biggest injuries. We'll move into shotguns that we had. Still pending shotguns from week 13. So come on, guys, get it
Week
done.
13, get it done. Get her done.
Jacob still is pending for Cleveland having -2. Paulo is still pending for Noah Brown getting 0. And Robert still has 2 that are pending for Tank Dell and Juwan Johnson. Rob, I don't know if we explained this to you, but for our shotguns, basically if any player that's starting in your lineup gets a 0 or a negative, you got to shotgun a beer and send a video to us, like as a group chat. So basically, that's what we do a recap every week to see who had one this week or who's still pending. I think
Yeah, as
maybe
soon as
next week. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, as soon as you said my name, I was like, let me go grab a beer real quick.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. Maybe we'll do Andrew. Maybe we'll do like a summary recap at the end of fantasy season just to like see who all got the most
It's a good
shotguns and
idea.
stuff.
It's
So
yeah.
we'll put that together. So for week 15 shotguns, there was a decent amount and a controversial one. I had a -5 for Chargers defense, so which I did the shotgun because I had to accept that. Edward, Brandon McManus got a -1. The Jags were struggling there. Andrew, Dalton Kincaid, you can have to do a shotgun for that, getting a
Came
0.
out of nowhere.
Michael decided to just play it safe and keep Geno Smith in, even though he was already at 167. He just said, "Screw it, I'll keep Geno Smith in," and got a 0. And he did a shotgun as well. And then Tristan's controversial one. He has 3 shotguns pending, even though he was on a bye. Everyone could still see who his starting lineup was. He had Tyreek Hill in, Chris Olave, and Dallas defense getting a -1. So I think the people have spoken in our chat. They would like him to do it, especially because Matt watched his lineup and made sure he had no zeros. So I think that's just on Tristan. Should have been paid more attention. And you know what? You got to buy, buddy. You got a shotgun now. So quit bitching. Um, anyways, those are our shotguns. We'll move into the betting segment. Just to let you guys know, I had a terrible week in betting. Did not do very hot, and I know a lot of people also struggled. It was a weird week. Um, For the recap that I had last week, I had Cincinnati -3.5. The line moved down to 3 as it got closer, but I said on the podcast it was 3.5. So that did not hit, sadly, against Minnesota. It was a 3-point game. New York Giants +6. That did not go well either. I thought they were kind of, getting on a hot streak and maybe keep it close with New Orleans, and that did not go well. So that one did not hit. And then the Bills and Cowboys did not go over 15.5. The Cowboys offense was stifled and was not able to get enough points. So that did not hit. I went 0-3. I'm now 9-11 on my 3 bets that I like to make each week. So yeah, just tough week. Gonna shake it off and try to get something going this week. We'll go into the upset recap. I picked the Broncos to win. They did
Oh,
not.
wait.
What's up? Did
Eli,
you have a?
I was gonna say, can I tell you my embarrassing bet story real quick too?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, both of you. So I was in Vegas this past weekend, right? I went to go visit family that lives out there, and so I was out there. I was like, I'm in the casino already. I was like, let me put a parlay down. So I put a $200 parlay, right? I picked 5 teams. I picked the Niners, who won, the Rams, who won, money line, not spread or over under whatever. So Niners won, Rams won, Bills won, Ravens won, and then the Eagles lost, dude.
Oh man, that's a
Dude,
tough one.
Damn.
I had a
Damn.
5 game parlay for
What would have
200.
been your paid out?
Dude, my pay was gonna be like $780, dude.
Damn.
And then the
Damn. I
freaking Eagles had to fumble it, dude. I was so mad because I was like, if anything, I thought the riskier games, the ones that I wasn't super confident about, was the Cowboys Bills, because Cowboys and Bills are both really good, and then the Ravens Jaguars. And those were the two that I was most nervous about. Eagles, I was walking into like easy money,
Yeah.
and by a field goal I lost, dude. So I was pretty pissed.
Heartbreaking.
I'll personally apologize to you for that. I'm sorry that my team
No,
let you down on that.
I just had to tell the story because it's been on my mind, and yeah, it was yeah, I'm laughing at it now, but in the moment I was like, there's no way I had everything right but the Eagles, dude.
That's tough, man. That is really
It was
tough.
crazy.
Well, it happens. It happens.
How it
Yeah,
goes.
that's parlays, man. They always get you. I feel like that's your easy way to make good money. But fuck, anything could go wrong on any of those legs. So, and it's always the last one too for some reason. So you win some, you lose some, man. But that is pretty crazy. I apologize for that Eagles loss. That's tough. That is tough.
Rough. Yeah.
All right, so moving to our upset recaps from last week. I think we had Michael on, so he had his guess as well. The Broncos did not win. They were 0-6. I'm now 0-6 on my upset picks, so not doing too hot there. But you know what? I'm picking teams that are like +5, +6, or more. Andrew's over here going easy, taking 3.5s or 3s. So he got it right with the
Who's got
Bucks
the better
winning.
record? Who's got the
Two and
better
four
record?
now. 2-4. One of them is an asterisk because it was a 3-point spread last week. But
I
whatever.
don't see no asterisk on there.
You took it off. All right, but Bucks won. He's now 2-4. And then our guests combined, they are 3-3 now because the Giants did not win their game against the Saints. So guests still have a better record than me and Andrew, but I am struggling, and I could still realistically lose this one this week. So we'll see. We'll move into our player props we had last week. We went 2-2. Didn't do too bad, but that's not going to win you anything on Prize Picks. We had CeeDee Lamb anytime touchdown that hit. He was the only guy to score a touchdown that game. Austin Eckler anytime touchdown did not hit, and we will make a rule in this podcast to never bend the Chargers the rest of this season. Jalen Warren over 8.5 rushing attempts did hit. Looks like they were utilizing him a lot in that game, and I think he will take over as the main back. And Michael Pittman over 7 receptions did not hit because of an injury. He had to leave early. So that's pretty rough, but he was on pace. So, it's just tough luck.
Did you see that hit? That was a dirty hit, bro.
Yeah, it was
like,
rough. It was tough to see. So hopefully he'll be
he got
okay.
ejected for that hit.
Yeah, hopefully he'll be all right.
He's ejected for the rest of the season.
No, is he really?
Was
no.
he? Yeah,
no.
they said the rest of the season, dude.
You're lying.
I swear.
All right, well,
No
you
way.
look that up, Andrew. I'll go into my bets for the week that I like. I mentioned it earlier. I know you're gonna disagree, Andrew, but New York Giants +12. I'm not saying they're gonna win, but I'm saying it's gonna be a closer one than you think. Right now, the Eagles aren't giving me a lot of confidence, and I think they're going to win, but I don't think it's going to be more than 2 touchdowns. So I like the Giants plus 12. Um, throw them in there to see what happens. Um, Tampa Bay -1 versus the Jags. I think Tampa Bay is on the upswing right now, and Jags are falling apart. I really like Tampa's offense, and I think Baker's on a hot streak, so I'm going to ride with them -1. I think they take that game easily. And then Browns -2.5. We've been talking about it multiple times. I think CJ Stroud out. I'm liking the Browns being able to win that game, and probably beat the Texans pretty bad. So yeah, I'm liking those three. The one only shaky one is probably the Giants, but I right now I'd be happy to see the Eagles win by more than 2 touchdowns. I'm okay. I'm willing to lose that bet, but this is kind of my insurance to be like, okay, well the Eagles didn't win, but I got it right. Or they won, but it wasn't a blowout. So at least I got some money off the Giants being somewhat competent. So those are my bets of the week. We'll move into upsets of the week. My rule is that they need to be +3.5 or more. So I said mine earlier. I like the Ravens over the 49ers. It's a 5.5 point spread. For all my reasons before, I think this is the most competent team the 49ers have played in a while. And they've been on a hot streak, but I think the Ravens have also been on a good streak, and it's going to come to a big showdown. And yeah, I like the line here. I think 5.5 is a pretty big spread, and I think they could win the whole thing. Andrew, do you have your upside of the week that you like?
Yes, sir. I said it earlier and I'll say it again. I think the New Orleans take the Rams, and I think they do it by a 4.5 spread. I think with this one, I honestly just think that that the Rams defense isn't where it needs to be. I think they have a great offense, but I don't know if they can continue, each drive over and over and keep up with the New Orleans Saints, especially with Olave heating up and Kamara getting some of these dump off passes from Derek Carr, and then even throw it in a mix of Taysom Hill in there. There's that element of surprise in that regard. So I'm gonna give it to the New Orleans Saints with a +4.5 over the Rams. That is my upset of the week.
Okay, nice. And Rob, you got one?
I couldn't disagree with you more, but no, I'm kidding. I'm gonna for mine, I'm gonna go Patriots, man. I know it's not looking very likely, but with the with how bad they've been doing, I'm hoping that they just come in and kind of give it their all and take the Broncos. I don't think the Broncos are that great. Yeah, they have been coming back, but I I just sometimes don't even really like watching the Broncos play at all. I don't know if it's like a Russell Wilson thing, but I'm hoping that the Patriots win. I probably wouldn't put another $200 parlay on it, but I do hopefully see them play and come in, and hopefully Ezekiel Elliott has a big game as well. So we'll see how it goes. But that's my pick.
All right. I like that. I like that. I like how all of ours are kind of in order. It's like 4.5 spread for Andrew, 5.5 for me, 6.5 for you. So I think that'll be fun. I think these are all pretty realistic upsets that can happen based off the spread.
I'll put a
So,
shotgun on that too.
shotgun. All right, man. You'll see. If that's the case, I will probably have the shotgun. My streak is probably going to keep going. So we'll see how we go from there. All right, we'll move in really quick to some underdog prize picks, player props that we like. I'm gonna ride two guys from one team. Um, Baker Mayfield over 229.5 passing yards. I do like his gameplay lately, and I think he's gonna continue. I see Andrew deleting a bet that we had earlier. Anyways, Baker, yeah, Baker should go off in this one, and I'm gonna ride with his passing yards. Mike Evans, anytime touchdown. I think every month of this season he's had one big game and he's yet to have one in December. So I think this is the time where he goes out and just goes off. I could see him getting 2 touchdowns this game. But yeah, I'm gonna go with both Mike Evans and Baker. I'm gonna do the duo right there. Um Andrew, do you have any player props you like?
Yes, sir. CMC anytime touchdown.
All right.
He's automatic with it. He's automatic with it. He's a touchdown machine. So I'm gonna put CMC with anytime touchdown, rushing or receiving. So
Do you
if
want to
that's on
explain
underdog,
your reasoning why you changed it right now? What'd you have earlier?
I don't know. What did I have earlier?
It looked like you had Austin Eckler there, man. Think
Austin Eckler's
Andrew.
not a bad choice either, but I think
It's
the
not, but
CMC is
I thought
better.
we agreed we'd never bet on the Chargers again this season. So if you want to go, if you want to go Eckler, you're right. If anyone can score, it's gonna be him. So
Yeah,
we'll
CMC. See, I'm sticking with CMC. CMC
All right.
anytime touchdown, catching or receiving for the 49ers. Let's make it happen. Let's make some money.
All right. All right. We shall see. So yeah, I like those picks. Any player props or anything you've been seeing or like, Rob, or kind of just liking your main bets that you like to do instead?
Yeah, I don't really do like the player bets personally. I just like to do like the game bets. So but I don't even know if I'm gonna do any this week because I just coming back from a L. I gotta financially recover. So we'll see how it
Vegas will
goes.
do that to you. So
I know, dude.
all
I'll sit this week out, but we'll talk again week 17 and then we'll go from there.
right. Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. All right, so that kind of summarizes our betting recap. Let's hope that this week is much better than last week and we can all make a little money. Moving to the trivia question of the week. We'll do the quick recap of last week's question. In the Eagles 2017 Super Bowl, who led with the most receiving yards? This is actually kind of a trick question because the only one on there, it's Nelson Aguilar, Corey Clement, Alshon Jeffrey, and Zach Ertz. It's actually Corey Clement, the running back. He had the most receiving yards that game. I think it was over 100. So yeah, surprisingly. That was the fun one that I saw. And then we have a nice Rams question for week 16, trivia question. In the 1956 season, where did the Rams call home? We have Los Angeles, St. Louis, Houston, and New Orleans. And
5,
Rob,
4, 3,
LA.
2.
I pick?
I saw
yep.
you typing.
All right.
No,
All
I did
right.
not, dude. I did. You think I typed that fast? 5 seconds.
I don't know,
5 second
man. I
countdown.
don't know.
All
I didn't
right.
know if I
So
was supposed to answer.
So we got our answer in from our guest. We won't say the answer, so you guys can always go in on Spotify and answer the poll, see if you get the question right. So yeah, please feel free to do that. Let's get some fun engagement going. And other than that, that kind of wraps up this podcast for today, man. It was a fun one. Went over a lot of fun football and some really good matchups coming up this week. Just want to wish you guys all a Merry Christmas, and really glad you guys are hanging out with us and just listening to some fun football. And once again, want to thank our guest Rob for coming on the podcast and talking shop with us. Yeah, anything you want to say to the people?
No, it was a great time. I love doing stuff like this. So whenever y'all want to have me back or have an open slot, just let me know. I'll jump back on again.
Hell yeah, man.
Yes,
And
sir.
then
Huge shout out to Shakka Bob for jumping on and hanging out with us talking football. And huge shout out to all you guys and all the listeners out there. Thanks for tuning in with us and sticking with us. And Merry Christmas to everyone out there. Spend some time with some friends and family and have a happy holidays all together.
yep,
Hell yeah.
exactly. All right, so yeah, once again, check us out on Spotify and YouTube, and yeah, rate and review. All right, well, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. This is signing off now. Savvy Boy out.
Alo out.
Later.
Shaka Bob out. Laters.